Hello, students, and welcome to lesson 5 of Marketing 3. So in this lesson, we are going to look at creating market value for consumers. So just as a recap, we previously looked at the nature of consumer behavior. We looked at the internal influences that affect consumer behavior. We looked at the internal influences. We looked at market characteristics and we looked at personal characteristics. We also looked at the customer themselves. We looked at their self-concept and lifestyle. And above all, we looked at decision-making processes. So this week, we are going to be focusing at the concept of value, as in how can we create value for consumers. Because remember, in lesson 1 and 2, we distinguished a consumer from a customer. We also looked at what is it that customers want and what is it that customers need. So now we are going to focus at the concept of value, like the market value sought by users, the market value sought by payers, and the market value sought by buyers. We are also going to look at the concept of value bundling. We are going to look at non-durable goods, durable goods, and services. But before we get deeper into the lesson, these are the concepts that you are going to come across as the lesson progresses. So you are going to come across the concept of value. You are going to come across the concept of value creation. You are going to come across the concept of market value. We are going to discuss needs and wants. And we are going to look at the marketing strategy as well as personalization. So these are the questions that you guys you need to ask yourself before we look at the market value of a product. You need to ask yourself whether this module of Marketing 3 is valuable to you. You know, does it create value to you? Or you're just doing the course for the sake of it? You also need to ask yourself the differences between needs and wants and how this is relevant to marketing. Like, why do we have to focus on needs and wants of consumers? Then you need to think of a well-known brand and identify whether that brand's market is sought by a user, a payer, or a buyer. Then, least but not last, you need to ask yourself, what and how is value creation important in marketing? Lastly, you need to ask yourself, what are the components of market value? So these are the questions that you need to ask yourself as I take you through this lesson. So in business markets, value is the worth in monetary terms of technical, economic, service, and social benefits a customer receives in exchange for the price it pays for a market offering. So we have always known value in terms of rands and cents. But value can also be in terms of services. It can also be in terms of social benefits a customer receives in exchange for that price tag that is put on a certain product. Therefore, a customer must see value in a product, and the product must satisfy the customer's needs or wants. So what is it then? What is a need? What is a want? A need is a motive that prompts a customer to buy a product, and it is ultimately the driver of the customer's decision. So we have always known 5 basic needs, but there have been 2 needs that have been added to 5 basic needs. So these are the things that people cannot survive without. For example, the first basic need is water. We cannot survive without water. Then the second basic need is shelter. We all need shelter, be it in form of a house, be it in form of anything that we put our heads under. So some would argue that, but there are people who survive without shelter, like people, the homeless, those on the street. But I can also argue that those people, they do have shelter, even if it is not in form of uh, a proper house that we know. When it's raining or when there's too much sun, there is that shelter that they seek to protect themselves from the rain or from the sun. Some will be under the bridges, some will be under the shades of shops or buildings. So at the end of the day, they also have shelter. Then the third one is clothing. We all need something to cover ourselves on. So I always hear that, but someone can walk naked. The people have been seeing on the streets, most of them, they're not completely naked. They still have something to cover themselves with. So one or the other, whether you are semi-naked or not, we need clothing. Then the fourth one is education. We all need education to survive, of which some can argue that, but there are so many people who have made it in life without going to school. The education that we are talking about here, it's knowledge. We all need knowledge to navigate human existence. That's why you would see that during the ancient time, when there was no academic education or formal education, people found ways of educating themselves informally in agriculture. You know, our ancestors could know the season to plant and the season to harvest. Think about the shadufs, the irrigation schemes in ancient Egypt. So one or the other, in order to survive, in order to know that you need food, in order to know that you have to hunt, in order to know that you have to do this, we all need education. And education comes in form of knowledge. So it doesn't have to be academic education, being in school. It means that one or the other, it's either you educate yourself to survive or you get educated to survive. So education is the fourth basic need. What else can we consider as a basic need? The fifth one is food. We all need food to survive. Without food, we can have malnutrition and we can end up not existing as human beings. So we all need these five basic things to survive: water, food, clothing, education, and shelter. Then there have been two things that many scholars have been arguing that they also have to be considered as basic needs. The first one is internet access. Internet access is strongly becoming something that many people, especially the digital natives, cannot survive without. It is becoming central to our lives. Remember, internet access is not only being on social media. People always think having access to internet is all about TikToking or being on Instagram. Is everything that you need when it comes to the digital community. Email access, Nowadays, there's load shedding. You cannot cook because there's no electricity. You need to order something online. That's internet access. There's some information that you need to get online, be it directions, Google Maps, all of that. So you realize that the lives that we continue to live in, they are all centered around internet access. So what about those who are in rural areas? The digital divide continue to be a factor from the other side of people who say, but people can survive without internet. But I can argue that with times to come, there will be a time whereby everyone will need to be online. Even the farmers who are in remote areas, they will need to check the weather forecast and so on. So it can be argued whether internet access can be a basic need or not.